What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. It's Jason and Joe here, coming at you with a classic review today. It is the 50th anniversary of the debut studio album from Kiss, self-titled. Uh, haven't talked much about Kiss. I did do the listography on my own before you and Cram joined the channel, and since then I haven't really brought them up too much. I think they made one of my album of the year lists. So I think maybe people aren't quite aware of how much of a Kiss fan I am. Today, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. I'm a big Kiss fan. I think if people saw my Facebook and Instagram feed, they would be quite alarmed. I know you're a little bit of a Kiss fan, at least. You've got some Kiss shirts that have made appearances in videos from time to time and have been a source of many comments. Like, why should I listen to someone's opinion on whoever that's wearing a Kiss shirt? um, So yeah, how generally do you feel about Kiss?
Uh, I'm not a huge Kiss fan, and I haven't really explored their albums that much. I'm unfamiliar with a lot of their output, but I've heard some of their 70s albums. I had not heard Kiss debut, self-titled, but I know Love Gun and Dynasty and the big live one. So I can't remember if Love Gun made my top five songs of the year at some point, but plenty of songs I like from them, but I've never really explored their discography.
For me, they were the first band I really loved, and I'm talking really young, like 3 to 5. And I was intensely into Kiss when I was little. I'm not sure exactly how long that lasted until, I mean, I was still pretty big into it when Unplugged happened and the original lineup got back together. I went to the reunion tour. I bought Psycho Circus in '99, I think that was the day it came out. Well, maybe it was '98. Um, I saw that tour. That was the last time I saw them. I only saw them twice. I love some Kiss albums. They've got a handful of 5-star records for me. I have a lot of thoughts about Kiss. They're a very interesting band to me, both musically and just the history of that band is fascinating to me. So let's talk about the debut. This is released in 1974, February 18th. Most of the songs date back to Gene and Paul's pre-Kiss band called Wicked Lester. The record was produced by Kenny Kerner and Richie Weiss. You've got one track on the record written by Ace Frehley called Gin. He at this point was not confident in his vocal ability, so he wrote some songs early on. He didn't sing them on the early records. This one is sung by Gene. You also have a cover of Kissin' Time, Bobby Rydell cover, which actually is not on the first pressing of the record. It came out without that on it. The record wasn't moving the way they had hoped. The label asked for a single. They recorded what they thought was going to be a standalone single, but then the label included it on all subsequent pressings of the record. It was recorded at Bell Sound in New York City, and didn't, like I said, didn't sell well upon its first release. I think 75,000 copies initially, which isn't nothing, but especially for a band with their kind of stage show and presentation, was not gonna pay the bills really. So quickly recorded a follow-up and quickly recorded another one after that. Didn't really hit until the Alive album in kind of like later 75. Eventually, this record went gold. It took until 1977 in that post Alive kind of Kiss mania that ensued for a few years. Song for song, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Kissin' Time. And Love Theme from Kiss, it's kind of cool, but it's not like an amazing song or anything. I think everything else is just top-notch rock and roll. I mean, sonically, the record doesn't sound, even for its time, it doesn't sound amazing. It's not a great sounding record. I think it sounds really cool. I like the way it sounds. I think the playing on it is really good, especially Ace and Peter. For me, Ace is in the conversation for my favorite guitar player ever. Obviously, very heavily influenced by British players, your Jimmy Page especially, but also Jeff Beck and all the British guys from the late 60s, early 70s. For me, though, he takes those influences and he has such a specific way of kind of emulating those sounds. His vibrato and the way he kind of bends notes and some of the pinch harmonic stuff that he does from time to time. To me, he has one of the most identifiable fingerprints as a guitarist. I can hear Ace and know it immediately. And it's already all that is very present here. All of his solos on this record, I think, are outstanding. Peter, the drummer, I think is a drummer that takes a lot of crap kind of in a similar way that Ringo does, where he's not a very technical player. So I think if that's what you're looking for, it's easy to pile on him and say he's not good. I think though, if you are a fan of any band, I don't think it's possible to really say you don't like the drummer. You can't say I like Kiss, but I don't like Peter. Because I mean, the sound and the feel of that band and the way the band sounds comes down to that drum feel. And he's got a really unique one. It's kind of a loose swing, jazz influenced. 78, the solo records come out, and his is very kind of big band swing influenced. So yeah, I think his feel and some of his fills and I don't know, just really unique, not technical. I'm not making the argument that these guys could have been like in Genesis or anything. Uh, but I mean, for a good rock and roll band, I think they just have this certain something. I know Kiss gets shat on quite a lot for not being great musicians, and I wholeheartedly disagree. I think Gene's a very underrated bass player too, very melodic player. Yeah, I think this record's awesome. I think every song except the two with Kiss in the title is outstanding. Classic Kiss. That's a 5-star record for me.
Wow. Well, I don't go 5 stars on this, but I think it's a very solid, very good album. We've got a cool style. I hear some Zeppelin and some Deep Purple, hear glam. You got plenty of New York Dolls influence on there. And the specific like way they do the guitar riffs, you can really hear like the future, like hair metal, like a lot of like Poison and stuff, which no fault of Kiss. I'm not going to hold Poison against them. But, I hear the New York Dolls, that glam style, maybe the edges filed off a little bit, despite, them wearing makeup and talking about demons. And I know Gene Simmons was like, I'm evil incarnate after this came out. And you don't really get that. Like there's nothing on here that's like really dangerous sounding. But I think it's all real solid songs. Strutter is a really great album one, track one kind of effort. Love the riff. The singing is good. Stanley, Simmons, and Chris all have lead vocals. They're not too like dissimilar. They kind of have the same overall sound. But I think they're all good singers. I think the playing throughout the record is great. You know, I kind of came in and I like their songs. I've never really thought about them as players that much. But I was surprised at how good the drumming was from Peter Criss. Just really, really solid, nice swing throughout. Some really cool solos, some really great riffs. 100,000 Years, very Deep Purple sounding, just like a real strong hard rock riff in there. Good lead throughout. Black Diamond has a really cool Zeppelin sounding lead in the outro. Deuce is really good. It's all like hard rock, but it's very melodic at the same time, which is nice. There's a couple songs I think are a little sort of boring. I'm not the biggest fan of Firehouse or Let Me Know or Kissin' Time, which wasn't on the original album anyway. Those sound like a little too generic to me. But stuff like Strutter, Nothing to Lose, Deuce is awesome, 100,000 Years is awesome, Black Diamond is awesome. And yeah, I mean, there's no weak spots. I think Gene Simmons is a very good bass player. He doesn't do too much here. It's not like on, Dynasty or something where he's doing big disco bass lines, but all really fits well together. The interplay between Stanley and Fraley, I think, is real good. There's some cool synchronized riffs on here. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing on this album. If you didn't know what Kiss looked like and like the story behind them, and I know people kind of get annoyed with the band, but there's nothing on here that would be like a turn off to any hard rock fan. Like nothing. Maybe Kiss in Time. But everything else, just great riffs, good singing, good playing, catchy songs, melodic, good mix of stuff, good mix of styles. And yeah, I mean, I'm at like a high 4 stars, I think, for this.
Yeah, I think I didn't mention in my review how catchy, like it's so hook filled. Like all the guitar riffs are such strong hooks. The bass lines are catchy, and the drum parts are the type of drum parts that kind of like belong in the song now forever. Like you can't play a different drum beat. Like they're very like the fills are important. The way they're played actually make a difference in the actual tune itself. They're memorable parts that will stick in your mind. And yeah, I just think it's a super fun record. It's interesting. Their next record actually sounds much worse than this. Um,
I don't think I've ever heard the second record. And then I think I listened to Dress to Kill because Pitchfork gave it like a 9.5, which is crazy. Um, I think there's been sort of a rethinking of where Kiss stands in the pantheon of rock and roll. They've sort of been reevaluated. And the way most, big name bands that have, cachet and lasting power, their early stuff kind of has gotten this reevaluation. And Kiss, again, I think they've been so denigrated for so long that I think people forget how catchy a lot of these songs are. And, they had a cool, unique style. And just because they wore makeup doesn't, take away, just because, people hate their 80s stuff doesn't take away from how good the 70s output was.
and I think people forget how, or like maybe don't forget, but they overlook how influential they were. I think, I mean, they had, there's for whatever the reason is that people got into them. I think, maybe they were drawn in by the makeup and like the superhero looking aspect of the band, but that drew in a lot of kids that then played guitar and started bands. And, Tom Morello and Jerry Cantrell and Dimebag Darrell all would have told you that Kiss were a major part of their becoming guitarists. And so, yeah, hopefully this is the first of many Kiss discussions we have on the channel now.
Well, eventually, we get some Kiss fans watching the channel. We'll have to redo the discography.
Yeah, so let us know what you think of this record, 50 years of Kiss. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, check out Patreon and social media and all that stuff in the video description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.